welcome. Today I have George Igoe from Million Stories here.
Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
And you are here to share the scoop, George, on all sorts of fun things about Million Stories, your travel adventures. I'd love to hear in your own words what Million Stories is.
Well, Million Stories is a platform that's focused on financial literacy. It's focused on trying to break the taboo of talking about money. So many people don't talk about money and subsequently don't kind of take control of their financial future. And so Million Stories is trying to change that with entertaining online content.
And George, has travel always just been a big passion of yours? Is that how you kind of got involved with this project?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved to travel my whole life, but haven't always had the bankroll for it, and so I had to kind of get creative. So I've worked in TV for many years, and so at a point it kind of made sense to make a show like this, and so it was a natural fit with Million Stories.
And you visit all of these different places with $100 a day. So what does that kind of, how do you think that teaches people that they can travel on a budget and still do all of these amazing fun things?
Well, I mean, I think it shows that if you kind of put in some work beforehand, do a little research, and discover stuff that's maybe a little more off the beaten path, not as touristy, that you can have fun without breaking the bank. And if you open yourself up to maybe different things that you might not ordinarily do in your hometown, that'll just give you more options for affordable fun.
And what tips do you have for people then? I know they can come check out your videos and get some ideas, but when you go into researching these different cities, and where do you start? Where can people start when they want to travel but on a budget?
Well, I think there's a couple sources. I think Atlas Obscura is a great resource. It's a website that kind of catalogs sort of kookier things in a location. But more than anything, you have to dig deep. You have to dig deep past the first page of Google results or the first page of TripAdvisor. Find stuff that is fun but is not as well known, and because a lot of more well-known touristy stuff is more expensive, and so you want to try to do your best to avoid that. Which not to say that you should completely avoid touristy stuff, because some of it is a lot of fun, but I think digging deeper is very important.
And when it goes to picking the trips that you're featuring on the website, how do you decide?
Well, for this first season, we focused on the eastern half of the United States. And within that, we just kind of wanted to get a variety of cities. So we did 3 cities in the Northeast, 3 in the Midwest, 3 in the Southeast, and then 3 in Texas and Louisiana. And so it's just about trying to get a variety of geographic areas and picking large cities within those areas.
Did you have a favorite of all the trips you went on, or just something kind of funny that you want to share with people?
Well, I mean, I grew up outside New York City, so I am biased towards New York. But I think Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the world. I've been before, but every time I leave, I can't wait to go back.
And when it comes to people that are, I know you said, do your research, those kinds of things, but people really missed out on traveling this last year. So I know a lot of people are going to want to get back out there and travel. What do you like? What advice do you tell them besides just like researching, but like, saving your funds or using it, just like not having to spend a crazy amount? Because that's what I loved about your videos. It's like you do so much with just that $100 and get to see so many different things and places in those cities. Like, what kind of advice do you have to these people that are just worried about giving that a shot?
I think it goes back to opening yourself up to different experiences. I mean, I know a lot of people, food is a big part of when they travel, and they want to hit, maybe some famous restaurants when they go to a city. And I think, for example, in you go to New York City, you Google famous restaurants in New York, you might get, Peter Luger's Steakhouse in Brooklyn, a very famous restaurant. But I don't think I'm getting out of there for under $100. And I'm sure the food's fantastic, but if you dig a little deeper, find a place that, I went to a place called Enoteca Maria. I don't know if you saw the New York episode. They had something called Nanas of the World, where every day a different grandmother of a different nationality runs the kitchen. And it's such a fun idea. And the food was fantastic, and it was much cheaper than this famous restaurant. And so if you just kind of open yourself up to different things that are, maybe not as famous, but just as good, I think you can unlock some real fun things.
And speaking of your New York one, if people haven't watched it, they should go check that one out, because I also really liked that the helicopter ride you mentioned, how expensive that is, but then you get creative. If you want to talk a little bit about that, like I feel like you definitely replaced the helicopter ride, but still got the whole view, got to see the city in a different way.
Yeah, that was at the Queens Museum. They have a gigantic, truly gigantic scale model of the entire city of New York. And you can see everything. It's really, I had never even heard of it, and I grew up a few miles from it. And it was just a great way to kind of understand the geography of the city, because in that episode, I hit all 5 New York boroughs. And so I kind of wanted to explain to the viewers a little bit about the geography and where I'd be going. And it was the perfect way to do that.
And George, what's been your favorite thing about getting to travel, getting to go to these places, and just being involved in Million Stories?
I mean, it's been just really a dream come true. Million Stories has been a fantastic partner. Just being able to go and meet so many different people, be on the ground, and because we have to get permission everywhere we shoot, and so being able to not just go to these places, but talk to the business owners and kind of learn a bit about them, and just interact with the people in that way has been a real treat.
And what are your hopes for the next season? I'm hope like are you gonna have another where you're gonna show more places? Like what's in the future?
We're talking about that right now. We haven't quite landed on locations yet, but certainly western half of the United States. So San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Denver, Phoenix, San Diego, LA. I think are kind of no-brainers. Still looking with COVID and everything, it's hard to really plan that far ahead, but it's the wheels are in motion, thankfully.
And was this project, I know that you said it was something that you're obviously very passionate, you love being a part of it. Was it something that you helped come up with, or did it come your way? Because I know it's kind of centered around like George Goes Everywhere.
A little of both. I'd done a lot of travel content on my personal YouTube channel, and I'd done some focused on budget travel, not quite to this extent, but I'd certainly touched on that with some of my personal videos. And so kind of a friend referred me, a friend who knew someone at Million Stories kind of referred me to them. And they're like, we kind of want to do a budget travel show. And I'm like, well, I have good news. I've kind of already done that on my YouTube channel. Go check it out. And so then they saw that and they're like, oh, okay, you might be the guy for this job. And we kind of worked together to kind of get the premise down from there. And so it was a little of both. I'd done it before, but we also came up with it together.
And when you started doing it before, was this just like your passion? You just wanted to get out there and see places on a budget?
Yeah, it was just like I said, I've worked in TV for years, and I had tried kind of pitching some travel shows kind of the traditional way, and didn't really get anywhere. And so at a point I just said I want to do it, and so I had an idea in my head that I wanted to do, and I said I'm going to do it. And so I just kind of got a camera and jumped in headfirst into the world of YouTube, and this few years later, here we are.
I think that's so fun though, because that's such a good just story for people that want to get in traveling, want to record their travels, like, go watch ideas like from Million Stories and just start doing it, and start a YouTube channel if you want, like just have fun with it.
Agree completely. I mean, it's it is a job, and you got to work hard at it, but it's very fulfilling, I think.
And I know that like in the videos, we're just seeing you, but you're meeting all of these people. Do you have any tips for people that are doing solo traveling? I know that's becoming much more of a thing to do nowadays.
I mean, yeah, I've pretty much most of my travel has been solo. I love it personally. What I would say is, for me, I think have something planned every day. That's not to say that, you can't discover things and have fun on the fly, because that's a big part of traveling, of course. But I think having, one thing that okay, tomorrow I'm doing this, have something planned for each day, um, has been helpful for me, so that you're not just completely wandering around aimlessly. And also, I think when you're solo traveling, I like to travel fast, which is 3 days in a city, maybe 4 if it's a really big city, maybe even 2. I think if you stay, for a week or something, that's when you're solo, you'll probably get bored and lonely, or at least I have. And so travel fast and have something planned every day. That's my solo travel guide.
Yeah, so keep busy and just fill all your time while you're there in the city.
Yeah, yeah. And because I think people, one thing you hear a lot is they say, "Oh, I want to go to a city and I'm just gonna wander around and get lost and see what happens." And that sounds very romantic, and I've done it, and I don't think it really works that well, because maybe it works on a Saturday night, but if you're in a city and it's 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, everyone's at work, and you know have some place to go at that time. That's been helpful for me.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, George, you have shared so many great tips with us, and I appreciate it. My final question for you is, why do you think people should go check out Million Stories? Like, what would you tell them about why you need to go watch all of those videos and start traveling?
Well, I think Million Stories is just a fantastic resource, for bettering yourself, bettering your financial future, and taking control of your finances, so that you can travel more and have maybe some disposable income that you can do fun things. And hopefully, my show, which is kind of more entertainment based, uh, will inspire you to try to take control of your financial future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, George. I appreciate you taking the time, and everyone go check out Fun Show. And George, can they submit ideas on where they want you to travel? Can people do that?
I'm all ears. Yeah, if find me on Instagram or Twitter or anything, I'm all ears for it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.